Welcome to 5 Minutes of American Literature. Let's talk about the Romantic movement as we see it take shape in 19th century American literature. If we consider the Enlightenment to be the movement that dominated the art and culture of the 18th century, then Romanticism was the movement that dominated the early 19th century. Most scholars place its origins in Europe and Britain in the late 18th century, specifically the beginning of the French Revolution, which is when we see writers like Wordsworth, Coleridge, and Shelley experimenting with new forms of writing and new ways of seeing one's place in the universe. It's hard to offer a single, unifying definition of Romanticism because it contained multitudes. But generally, we see in Romantic literature a focus on the individual and the imagination, the importance of nature in maintaining spiritual health, an interest in humanitarianism, and a belief that feeling and intuition are valid forms of knowledge. Some scholars read the Romantic movement as a backlash against the Enlightenment, but others see it as more of an outgrowth or evolution of it, since the Enlightenment lays a lot of the groundwork for believing that humanity can be a force for good in the world. Literary scholars tend to track American Romanticism a few decades later than European Romanticism, and many treat Ralph Waldo Emerson's work as the birth of a fully fledged American Romantic movement. Emerson's essays Nature and Self-Reliance capture a lot of the zeitgeist of the early British Romantic poets. The optimism, the naturalistic spirituality, the rejection of tradition and institutions as forms of authority, and the celebration of creative individualism. However, Emerson takes his Romantic beliefs a lot further than Coleridge or Wordsworth did. Emerson asserts that the Godhead is everywhere, and that people can and should commune with it directly, preferably in nature, where divine creation is unsullied by human artifice. And he thinks the American wilderness is a uniquely ideal setting for this communion. He also argues that true understanding of the world comes from individual creativity and insight. He encourages his readers to look beyond empirical knowledge and established authorities, and spend their time meditating on more spiritual knowledge and self-discovery. According to Emerson, the imagination can access truths about humanity and the universe that transcend the material world. Hence the reason that his admirers were mockingly called transcendentalists by his critics. Though he was not widely read in his own time, his philosophy inspired quite a few of his contemporary writers and intellectuals, like Walt Whitman, Henry David Thoreau, and Margaret Fuller. However, Emerson's transcendentalism was not the only form of Romanticism that we see in this period of American literature. Other American Romantic writers took a much darker and more pessimistic perspective on the human condition. In their works, they focus more on the darkness in humanity and in nature, and they express a lot of doubt that people can transcend their mortality or their inner demons. For their characters, solitude and self-reliance are often dangerous, and the wilderness is not a place of respite, but rather a place where the destructive powers of man and nature can run amok. Edgar Allan Poe is a key figure in this genre. By combining the melodramatic features of European Gothic literature with the aggressive creative imagination that Emerson promotes, Poe became a master at taking his readers inside the minds of psychopaths and showing his audience how perverse the solitary individual human mind could get. Writers like Nathaniel Hawthorne explore the possibility that human nature contains an inherent element of evil that cannot be purged, only controlled. If it's left unexamined and unchecked, the harm that this evil does can poison a community for generations. It's open to debate where we can fit earlier pre-Emerson writers into this literary landscape. Authors like Washington Irving, James Fenimore Cooper, and Catherine Maria Sedgwick grappled with questions like those that occupied the minds of the American Romantics. Can a people transcend their destructive impulses? Can they really leave their past behind and begin again, or will they always be haunted by their history? Does the lawlessness of nature bring out the best or the worst in a man? Their works, too, offer us stories that test the power of individuals to live their authentic selves without compromising with the demands of society or succumbing to their inherent darkness. Thank you for watching, and please take a look at the video on the Republican hero to supplement the material in this video.